Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the 3D Critic channel. Today I'm going to give you guys my performance review on the Nike A1s. This is A'ja Wilson's first signature shoe with Nike, and if you don't know who A'ja Wilson is, she is a basketball player in the WNBA currently, and she now joins another basketball player in the WNBA and Sabrina Ionescu in a Nike signature line series for women basketball shoes. So it is interesting to see the Sabrina 2s were a very good shoe from top to bottom, with the traction being very good. Cushioning was very nice, responsive, and the materials were very nice and flexible with adequate lockdown and decent support on top of that. So I was curious to see if it follows along that line of a well-rounded basketball shoe in general. As far as retail goes, they are going for $110, which is slightly cheaper compared to the Sabrina 2s, and they are in limited quantity right now. However, there are a couple of other colorways that are coming out. So if you guys are interested in buying yourself a pair of this shoe, and specifically in this colorway and many other colorways in the future, I will try to leave links in the description box below. Now, the try-on experience in general is pretty straightforward at the end of the day. Getting in and out of the shoe is very nice and straightforward. Initially, they are a little tight when it comes to putting them on. However, with a little bit of breaking time, it will start to open up. That way it gets easy in putting the shoe on and taking off the shoe as well. For sizing, if you really want a snug fit, going down a half size would work best for you, especially with the length. It is just right when you go down a half size, while the width is really snug at first, and as a result of that, my toes started to get numb as I was first playing these and breaking them in. However, once you break them in, it does open up a little bit more. That way it's a little bit more forgiving. Just be mindful that when you're going to play in them again, you will start to experience the numbing, so that is a little bit of an annoyance. If you are someone with a really who wants a really snug fit in your shoes, you will experience some issues with that. And in that case, these will be perfect for narrow footers. While for me, I would go true to size to get a little bit more wiggle room. While for a wide footers, you should be fine going up a half size to accommodate for the narrow fit that you're going to get in the shoe. Now, for the traction pattern itself, you're going to get a full-length rubber outsole with a radial pattern that starts from the swoosh here in the midfoot, and it is broken up, creating basically nubs throughout the entire outsole itself. And when it comes to grip, it does require a little bit of breaking time. Initially, it does start to slide around a little bit, but nothing crazy that way I'm like rolling on skates. But once you break it in, it offers phenomenal grip. Very grippy when it comes to clean courts, in my opinion. When it came to lateral movements, they were basically incredibly sudden, and I had zero slip when I was trying to go side to side. So it was very nice and tacky when it comes to lateral movements. Vertical movements are really good too. When it came to hard stops, they felt really good. And you also get quick push-offs on your first step. So it was nice and quick when you're trying to get a quick first step as well. And on dusty courts, it hardly picks up any dust, and I barely had to wipe them down throughout the entire use I was playing in them. So it is very consistent from a clean court to a dusty court with the performance that you're going to get. So that was very nice and confidence inducing when it came to playing in these. As far as durability goes, they are very solid as well. The only signs of wear are basically along the edges of the outsole itself, not necessarily the nubs that you're going to get throughout the outsole itself. So you should be fine to playing these outdoors, also because of the hard rubber that you're going to get overall. So there's very nice depth when it comes to the tread itself, so you should be good to go playing in these outdoors as well. So as far as the traction setup is concerned, it is quite simple, but it provides incredible grip with great consistency, whether it is on a clean court and a dusty court, and it has really solid durability as well. For the cushioning setup itself, you are going to get a full-length Cushlon 3.0 midsole along with a top-loaded midfoot shank encased in this carry-on foam that you can see, and you can tell the difference with the exposed foam that you get here in the midfoot on the lateral, and you also can feel it on the medial side of the shoe, and you can feel the difference in between when it comes to the midsole foam itself. And as far as how it feels, especially in the forefoot, it found out to be a very springy setup with great responsiveness as well. With the shank plate, it gives the shoe a really bouncy feel, and as basic as the setup is, it is very responsive and bouncy at the end of the day. With the Cushlon, you're going to get a general overall bouncy feel. Combined with the shank, it gives it a nice springboard-like effect when you are playing in these. So very responsive, very springy when it comes to forefoot cushioning. In the heel, it is a little stiff at first. However, with a little bit of breaking time, it does start to feel really comfortable with very decent compression here as well. And with the impact protection, it is really good and feels really good when it came to heel strikes as well. In terms of fluidity, in general, it is pretty smooth when it came to the heel to toe transitions. At first, I did start to feel a little clunky here in the back, but with braking time, it is nice and fluid. And combine that with the snap that you get from the shank plate, it gets you up to speed very quickly. Especially when I was running 5-on-5s, it allowed me to get basically up to speed in an instant when I'm on the fast brake and trying to transition from offense to defense or vice versa. So it was a very good shoe, a very speedy shoe at that. And as far as how the cushioning setup is, it is quite simple, but it is very good regardless of how simple it is, with a very springy, responsive setup in the forefoot. Overall, pretty comfortable once you break it in, and it is pretty smooth and very fast when you're going up and down the court. Now, diving into the materials themselves, you're going to get TPU mesh material throughout the forefoot, medial, and lateral side of the shoe. For the lace line itself, you are going to get this synthetic leather material that extends all the way into the heel and wraps around here in the back. For the tongue itself, it is a pretty basic mesh tongue with a little bit of leather on the top, as well as some decent padding on the top of the tongue. And the same can be said for the padding here in the ankle collar as well as in the heel. So in terms of material choice, it is pretty basic at the end of the day. In terms of comfort, they are stiff at first, but with a little bit of braking time, it does start to flex with your foot. However, there are some spots where the material does bend, which you can see, and it can dig into your foot a little bit, so that can be an issue for some people depending on the foot shape that you have. So be mindful of that. It does start to flex in a few hot spots, and there will be a little bit in terms of discomfort. The tongue itself is reasonably padded on the top, and I didn't necessarily feel any irritation throughout the lace line because the laces are integrated with the materials themselves. The ankle collar has some decent padding as well as in the heel, and I didn't really feel any discomfort basically in the back half of the shoe. So it is pretty comfortable in the heel as well as in the midfoot, with a little bit of discomfort here in the forefoot because of the TPU meshing that you get, and it feels like you are bending it in some spots, and it feels really plasticky in terms of how it feels. Aesthetically, it is a pretty simple design, but it does look really nice, especially with the gradient shades of blue that you get throughout the material, along with the pronounced glossy swoosh that you get on the lateral, and you also get a little one on the medial side, which looks really flashy, but they do get scuffed quite easily, which was kind of a bummer. So that is the main low light when it comes to the swoosh itself. It does get scuffed really easily, and it will start to look really gnarly when it comes to the look of the shoe itself. You also get A'ja Wilson's name on the back of the shoe. You also get her logo on the top of the tongue, and you also get her signature at the front, and you also get some stitched on shapes on the inside of the tongue, which are different on both tongues. So that is also a nice touch when it comes to the stitched aesthetic that you get inside the shoe. So in terms of the materials, they are on the cheap end, but it is decent when it comes to the comfort. And while the shoe looks simplistic as well, the gradient shades of blue that you get, along with the glossy swoosh that you get here, especially on the lateral side of the shoe, it makes it stand out among the rest. For the lockdown itself, it is very good, but it can be subject to what size you get, especially with the size that I got for me personally. Firstly, in the forefoot, like I said earlier, the fit is very snug, and therefore prevents the forefoot from sliding laterally and vertically. So I didn't experience any movement throughout the forefoot itself. In the midfoot, it is pretty basic up until you get to the medial side, where you get 2 lockdown tabs, which is kind of unnecessary and doesn't really do much. It would have been better if it was just straight through, just like on the lateral side of the shoe. So aside from that, it basically locks into place really well, and you get a nice wrapped feel with the semi-gusseted tongue that you get, and it gives you like a glove-like fit when it comes to the midfoot's lockdown itself. In the heel, you do get a little bit of heel slippage from time to time. In the heel, it is reasonably sculpted with the padding that you get around it, and it keeps the heel in place. Just keep in mind that the shoe is a half size shorter, like I said, and you do get like a really snug fit. So if you order true to size, it might be subject to experience a little bit more heel slippage compared to what I have now. So take that with a grain of salt. If you get a really snug fit in your shoe, the lockdown in the heel is going to be pretty nice overall, where you get a little bit of heel slippage from time to time. But if you want a more roomier fit, when it comes to heel slippage, it might get a little worse especially. So keep that in mind. It's pretty basic at the end of the day, and very solid on my end when it comes to the size that I got, but keep that in mind depending on the size that you get. And last but not least, when it comes to the support, it provides really good balance overall when it comes to the lateral counters as well as the torsional support that you get, as well as the base. Firstly, for the lateral support, you do sit within the midsole, especially here in the forefoot, and it gives you like a cradle feel. You also get a slightly sloped midsole along with a protruding outrigger to keep the forefoot nice and stable during lateral cuts, and it continues into the midfoot. With the swoosh, it gives the material some rigidity along with the foam carrier that rides into the material a little bit, and you also get this plastic bar that exposes the cush line a little bit to give it a little bit more rigidity when it comes to the midfoot support of the shoe. And as you keep going into the heel, it has a really stiff internal heel counter to keep the heel locked in place, as well as the midsole flaring outward to give you a little extra stability on the back half of the shoe, which is rare nowadays when it comes to basketball shoes in general. It's generally very bulbous here in the forefoot, and it starts to slim down on the back half of the shoe. So the fact that it is sloped here in the back is a huge plus. In terms of torsional rigidity, the TPU bar in the midfoot as well as the top-loaded shank makes the shoe in the midfoot especially very stiff, so you're going to have some nice rigidity here in the midfoot while retaining some flexibility here in the forefoot. That way it doesn't feel too stiff on your foot. The base of the shoe is very flat and it is quite wide, especially here in the forefoot, so you're going to have a lot of surface area here in the forefoot to land on when it comes to the overall base of the shoe, and it's very flat, so you're going to have a nice planted feel every time you land your foot on the ground. So in terms of support in general, it provides everything you need when it comes to support, especially with the lateral counters that you get, and it is very torsionally sound with the bar as well as the shank, keeping it very rigid in the midfoot while making it very flexible, and has a nice wide base under you. That way it provides balance outside and inside of the shoe as well. So to sum it up for you guys, the A1s, in my opinion, gives the Sabrina 2s a run for their money. Especially when it comes to the traction. To me, it is very grippy, very solid and consistent when it comes down to it, and it has solid durability compared to the Sabrina 2s, where it has all of that, but it isn't as durable compared to the A1s, in my opinion. The cushioning, while it is very basic, you don't get the zoom unit in the Sabrina 2s, but it provides a similar feel when it comes to the balance that you get and the responsiveness overall. The materials are not the best, in my opinion, especially that it only costs $110. You do get a little bit more flexibility in the Sabrina 2s, but they do start to wear out when it comes to the overall durability. So in terms of durability, this is a solid option when it comes to the A1s. The lockdown is pretty good depending on the size that you get, and it has really good support on top. So if you want a more flexible shoe, I will go with the Sabrina 2s. But if you want to go on a budget and get similar, if not better performance compared to the Sabrina 2s, this is a very solid option, and it is a little cheaper at $110. So very great shoe from Nike, in my opinion, and extending into the WNBA, it gives it a broader perspective in terms of the performance that you can get with very little that you are getting. As simple as it is a very solid performer at the end of the day. Thank you guys for watching this video. This has been my performance review on the Nike A1s. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and comment down below if you were able to get a pair of the Nike A1s. This specific colorway was very limited when I got it, so I was lucky enough to get this colorway because it is a very nice looking colorway. So if you have any other questions, feel free to comment down below, along with any other questions that you might have. If you'd like to stay up to date with future videos that I'll be posting, hit the subscribe button down below. It will greatly support the channel as well. And if you want to see what I'm talking about the Sabrina 2s and how they compare to the Nike A1s, I will leave that review on this side of the screen right here. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, all of that information will be in the description box below. I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your day. I hope this was beneficial to you guys, and until next time, keep shooting.